Man, I'll tell you one thing. Whenever I hear those beats, that means I'm about to listen to some great conversations. All right. So thank you everyone for tuning into Energy Crew Podcast. It's me, your host, JP Warren. I want to thank you all out there for tuning in. We know that there's a lot of podcasts to choose from. However, you came here. And if it's your first time here, welcome. If it's your second or third time, welcome home. You're back. You're back with family. And that's what we're all about. The Energy family, the Energy Crew Podcast. And part of this, part of this new launch of the podcast we've been doing since the summer is getting behind industry personalities, industry leaders, talking about, kind of what drives them, what inspires them, why they're doing what they're doing, and why they kind of, and this one is no change in that because we are speaking with someone right now pretty much asking the questions, why did you take a bet on yourself and kind of pursue the entrepreneurial lifestyle? And honestly, I'm looking forward to this discussion. This is Cody Spaulding, the traveling oil field pipe dealer, the founder at Scissor Tail Pipe.
That's me.
Up in Oklahoma. And hey, look, before we even started this, look, you and I met. It was at the Social Octanes Golf games. Golf. Yeah, it was that. Those are always
golf games. Yeah.
Those are always such a great time. Those cats do such a great job. And all their events, they have something coming up, the oil and Gatsby party. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you and I met. I was on a whole kind of promoting Kids Crew because I was coming up Oklahoma City. And you gave me one of these special hats that I look. I wear a few hats, not many, because I got a great head of hair, as I tell my daughter every day. But when I do keep a hat, it's special. And this hat is always special for some reason. Cody, maybe it's you and I first met that I really didn't know your story back then. And since then, you and I have kind of talked every now and then. We've circled each other on, on LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. But man, you are blowing and going. You are pretty much kind of stepped out on your own and starting your own company and all the struggles and the challenges and the successes that come behind that. I say today, man, you and me, let's kind of have just a shoot the shit conversation, kind of talk about life as an entrepreneur, starting your own thing, kind of where whenever you're at in life. And I don't know, just get around that. What do you think?
Yeah. And it's quite a big bull to take by the horns. And first, I have to ask you a question. Didn't you start your company around the same time as mine?
Okay, so I filed for my LLC, I think in July of 21.
Okay. Were you doing business before that though?
No. Crew Club's first event was October 21st, 2021. So in that span, I think I was trying to do some maybe social media management or content creation for a couple companies. Again, trying to figure it out. Obviously, what I had in my mind is not where we're at today, and that's the exciting part. So, I started back then to what I thought would be something completely different than where we're at today. What about you? When did you start your journey?
Yeah, I started just a little bit before you, kind of mid 20, just or maybe mid half, back half of mid 2020. But anyways, it was right before you started coming out with your stuff. And I remember following your initial things you post online, et cetera. And it's been years now, but your model has changed significantly just from watching you. I haven't even talked to you about it, but just watching what you post and what you do, it's just changed every year. And mine's been done kind of the same. So it's very interesting. It almost happens organically.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think causes that change? Is it for you? Is it figuring it out? Is it kind of you get tired of kind of doing the same stuff and you kind of just want to reinvent something new? I mean, how do you find first off, your motivation to keep on doing what you're doing? And the second off, where do you find that change when it comes to your tone or to your message or to how you're communicating?
Oh, JP, that's a hard question. So
that's a good, we always ask the good questions here on Energy Crew Podcast.
Yeah. So motivation is it can come from many different places, but for me, motivation comes daily, but also based on the situation. So, especially in solopreneur type endeavor, one day your motivation may be to be free and clear from an office and a boss. And then the next day it's to make payroll. And the next day it's you got so much money to go to the beach. So the motivation to do it changes every day. And sometimes it's because I'm barely getting by. And sometimes it's because I'm wanting to grow something big because I just made a big deal, right? It's all about keeping that momentum going.
No. I'm thinking about first. I'm looking over your shoulder. I see that beautiful book, Energy for Everyone. I think everyone needs to check out that book. No, I mean that's kind of the thing. So let me ask you a question. What was previous before you stepping out and doing a scissor tail pipe? What were you doing in your career? Give me the quick. Hey, I've just scrolled through your LinkedIn. Give me that, and I want to kind of hear the pivotal moment when you decided to kind of bet on yourself and kind of start your own company.
Yeah. I'm very similar to like a lot of us guys that have been in the industry 15, 20 years, right? You have lots of different experience in oil and gas. So I started out in fracking, ended up in drilling, just like everybody else, got laid off at some point. And my father at that time worked at Chesapeake, and he worked in old country tubular goods. And it just so happened within like the same 2 months time frame, we both got laid off.
Okay.
And so when he was at Chesapeake, he was doing something that was very similar to what I do now. And so we just had a conversation at dinner one night, decided to put it all together and do what he did at his prior job at Chesapeake together for other oil companies. And I learned pipe specifically through that. Now that leading to my business now had some steps.
Wait, how long ago was that?
So that would have been it's about 6 years ago.
Okay, so you just started learning about pipe from that kind of casual conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he fired that company off. I was in the truck with Dad day in, day out. It was just like when I was a little kid, just riding around. You know, he's a fireman, so his days off, he's always laying tire, doing a roof job, and I hop in the truck. Well, now we're doing it together, right? So we traveled the country, made tons of contacts, met tons of people, learned pipe. And through all that, you know, my dad was getting closer to retirement age, and I was getting really versed in oil and gas and well-rounded, especially around pipe, because now I've seen new pipe, used pipe, and been on the drilling side and fracking side. So a big mill recruited me for digital and field services related to pipe. And that was initially starting out in the Mid-Con region, working into the Barnett. I managed that area for a little while, and then took over the Northeast, and then did a little bit in West Texas for Shell. And it kind of worked out perfect. Dad retired. I got to move on to new pipe and learn even more about technical services. And then 2020 came, and I think at the peak, I had like 11 rigs that I was directly handling all services related to OCTG for them.
Okay, so within 3 years, getting 20 rigs. I mean, so what I'm thinking, I'm doing the math. You said 6 years ago. COVID was 3 years ago. The pandemic was 3 years ago. So yeah, so in 3 years, getting 20. Okay, I dig that.
And then 2020 came, and those rigs went to zero.
Right.
And I had no work to do at my job, and we had massive layoffs. I was the first hire in that new department. So I asked my boss, "Hey, I got no rigs. I got no work. I got nothing to do. I'm sitting at home on a remote employee. I mean, am I getting laid off anytime soon?" He said, "You aren't." And so, well, I got to do something. Can I start working on something on the side if there's nothing going on? He said, "Yeah, sure." So I started dabbling in pipe.
What do you mean? Okay. This is such an interesting. I think this little thing right here is the difference between turning an idea into something or just having the idea fade. You know, so when you said you were bored or whatever, you weren't doing anything, you wanted to learn something on stuff, and then you started kind of surrounding yourself with pipe and all this stuff. What do you like? Tell me about that gap in, I guess, activity or whatever like that, where you're like, I want to learn this. Was there a destination, or is it just something you just kind of want to learn, just kind of stay on top of the game? What was the motivation to kind of continue to learn?
As far as going to that newest job?
Yeah.
So at that time, you know, it was still that typical going up the corporate ladder. I mean, I know I was working with my dad at the time, and I knew that when he wanted to retire, I probably didn't want to take over that business.
Right.
And so I was still on that path of, well, it's time to just move to the next job and learn more, get a promotion, move on to the next job, learn more, get a promotion. And the real story is where I decided to leave and go out on the entrepreneurial route. And 2020 really did develop that. If the pandemic hadn't happened and 2020 hadn't happened and that environment hadn't been created, I would have never started this business.
Me too, man. I wouldn't be where I'm without all that stuff happening as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for, specifically for me, why it started in 2020 was I knew I had nothing going on at my job. I knew I was secure, but we only know how, truthful that is, right? So I wanted to start a business that was essential. But you know how the government came out with
non-essential, essential. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So in the very beginning, it wasn't even pipe. I was just like, what's essential? What do I know and what's essential? And outside of oil and gas, because I'm already in that, right?
And there's and it went from 1,200 rigs to 200 rigs overnight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew that construction, things related to construction, or at least related to permitting and inspections for like homes, residential or commercial,
right?
No matter what happened with the pandemic, transactions still had to occur, and homes and like massive commercial buildings still had to pass code to sell or be taken. Even if there wasn't homes being sold and the banks had to take them back on, there would still have to be inspections.
Okay.
So all these buildings have to be structurally sound, and that's never going to go away when there's transactions going on. So I thought, well, that's essential. And then I thought, what is used in construction that I know? And it's pipe. So I just couldn't connect the dots. I didn't know where specifically there was good niches with good margins that I could learn the technical side of oil and gas OCTG and apply that to the commercial side of construction.
Okay.
And everybody win.
Okay.
And I spent about 6 months studying micropiling and commercial piling, which is down in like the Gulf of Mexico. And what they do is it's a support structure. On the commercial side, they may use it for cell phone towers to hold the base down.
Okay.
For houses, it goes down as simple to micropiling of like foundation repairs, essentially. And they have to use steel pipe to perform those activities. But oil filled pipe is a lot stronger, and the metallurgy is a lot better for erosion and corrosion.
Okay.
And when it's used, it's cheaper than the construction companies buying brand new ASTM grade construction pipe.
So I'm gonna slap a pause on that real quick. So let me get this straight. So pretty much, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you see something continuing, you see a need for something that obviously is not going away. You know, whether it's construction or coding, whatever, all that stuff. You're seeing, okay, I know about pipe. You know, I'm learning about pipe a little bit more every day and all that stuff. So you saw an opportunity. Number one, where your oil field background, your knowledge in the oil field, the product is going to be stronger, cheaper to use, right? And a market that wasn't capitalizing on this stronger, cheaper source, and you're like, okay, well, here's an opportunity right here that I gotta bridge, that I gotta connect.
Yeah, and even if it's a source that those construction companies were already using oilfield pipe, what I was seeing is that most of them were buying that through 2 or 3 different supply chain steps. So there was 2 or 3 markups on that material versus just one person dealing directly with an oil and gas company.
Okay.
Straight off the well and then being processed for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. So is that the first? So tell me about the first. I guess the founding months, or whatever you want to call it. How about we call it the figuring it out months of you stepping out? So you've never had your own business before?
Nope.
Okay, so this entrepreneurial spirit is relatively new, and it stemmed from the pandemics, very similar to my thing. And so tell me about the first, I guess, the figuring it out couple months. Like, when did you kind of, I guess, say, hey, look, I'm going to do this, and kind of bet on yourself? And what did that look like? What did that look like inside your head and your house of Cody trying to figure this out?
Okay. Well, I had 3 things that I knew for a fact, no matter what, I would need to be able to sleep at night, to be able to go out on my own. And it was, the 3 things were, okay, so I wanted to have close to a year's worth of income saved.
Okay.
So that, if I have completely failed, I knew I could find another job within a year.
Okay.
So I did that first. I know most people can't do that. It was hard to do. I will say that I worked side businesses while I was fully employed to save that money.
Okay.
In addition. So that part I can't really help you. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to save money if you want to follow that route. And then the second thing I needed was a customer, right?
Right.
Got to have a customer, one customer. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So you have to go out and sell. So you got to learn sales. You got to go out and sell. You got to go out and get one customer just to start. I mean, you need more than one, but one to start. And then for me, what I wanted to have repeat customers. I didn't want to be someone that just made my income off of deals, always chasing a deal.
Yeah.
Chasing a new deal. I wanted it to be it kind of goes back to the essential business. I wanted to be an essential business that was stable, that will always be around no matter what. And, that they want the same amount of material from me, or the same amount of service, or the same amount of consulting every month, year after year, until I die. And I just scale from there.
Okay.
Like building blocks. That's kind of how my brain works. So I found those 3 things, and that's when it was time to just take off.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So whenever before you find that one customer, all that stuff, I'm thinking about people that are kind of in their roles right now, kind of, that are curious about kind of stepping out of their own, that are very curious about kind of this entrepreneur or solopreneur lifestyle, whatever that is. And that's something that Ronnie Giles said with Bid Out as well. He said something very interesting. He said, look, if you can find that one customer, that means you have a business. That means you have a product and all that stuff. How far along were you kind of having these conversations? Were these more theory? Hey, if I started this, would you be interested in this? Or were these like, hey, look, this is happening. I'm looking for my first customer. You know what I mean? Was it more theoretic conversations, or were this more like, hey, this is happening, are you in or out?
Well, it was more hi, I'm Cody Spaulding. I'm the owner and founder of Scissor Tail Pipe. We're a distribution company of used tubulars in the Mid-Con region. And it was basically being the business before the business existed.
Yeah.
And it's not, hiding that I wasn't ready, or hiding that I didn't have inventory. I had both those things. It was just confidence, man. You just have to, if you go in and you say, hey, I'm new, I'm really trying this out, would you help me out by taking an order from me? If I was the business owner, it'd make me a little nervous,
Yeah.
So I just went into just regular old sales, and be honest, tell them that you make the decisions, tell them that it's your money, tell them always. I mean, if I can give one advice for anybody just trying to retain clients, is just always tell the truth. It's just, and you never have to remember anything if you always tell the truth. So just always tell the truth.
You know what? I think this is important for airlines out there, especially Southwest. I'm talking to you. Like that's a great point. It's like, even if you don't know, okay, even if, like, I've always found that even if you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I don't know the answer, and this is why I don't know the answer. But once I find something out, I'm going to let you know. When you leave people in the dark, when you leave customers, potential customers, or people in the dark when it comes to what's going on, that pisses people off. I mean, just think about, like, if your flight's delayed, or if your flight's canceled, like, I'm joking around about Southwest, but not really. But, like, think about when something's delayed, something's canceled. I don't care if the update is, hey, passengers, we don't know what's going on, but we'll let you know. Like, I'd rather have something like that than be left alone in the dark.
Yeah. And if you're in, and if you're in sales and you're working with vendors, I mean, I would love for vendors to work that same way too. I mean, I have customers that I would like them to tell me more stuff so I can help them more. And you can only do that through asking them questions. But one example, I had a great customer that bought out one of their competitors and moved to took on double their business basically overnight. And I was supplying them all their steel. So I had to figure out a way to fix that problem. It usually takes me months to acquire steel.
I mean, that's a tough, bad, good problem to have.
Oh, it was a nightmare for months. Let's talk about entrepreneur not sleeping. We got it figured out, but it's another thing where it's just, everybody can just be honest, always be talking, always be open. It just helps so much.
So let me ask you a question. So let's talk about kind of behind the curtain. Well, first off, how about this? No, let's talk about in front of the curtain, about your business and kind of watching it grow, and kind of the major milestones maybe that you've seen, and maybe lessons that kind of come along with those milestones. And then I kind of want to talk about kind of what's it like, behind closed doors, once, the phone's down, the computer's down, like what that looks like. So I guess starting off, let's talk about kind of what it looked like for you to scale up your business. What was important lessons that you learned along the way? What are some mistakes that you kind of learned that? So let's kind of have an overall, like, 30,000 foot conversational view, and I can share some of the stuff that I've learned as well.
Yeah. Gosh. So many things,
dude. I know. Here's the deal, man. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's, it's weird. It's like every season as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, it's just like, it's exhausting. It's tiring. It's a storm. It's you expect, for me, one of the most interesting things that I've had to understand is the concept of success. Is, what does success feel like? It's not that, again, I'll back up, like, for me, like, for example, when I wrote that Energy for Everyone book, whenever I got, X amount of, operators to the table, whatever things started kind of going well and all that stuff, I have a difficult time identifying with success, with identifying what that feels like. Because for me, it's like, hey, good job. Okay, well, I got to keep going. I got to keep building. I got to keep doing something else. I can't lose this momentum. I can't lose this steam. Yeah. And for me, success doesn't bring along the good, joyous, positive, light feelings. It kind of brings along the lines of, first off, I need to detach my thinking of what's success. I need to think of achievement. How much energy and effort did I put towards this? And did I achieve what I wanted to, versus success? Because that's such a grand term. And for me, it doesn't sit with like, hey, you did a good job. It's like, hey, don't sit on your ass. Keep moving forward, or else. Like it's an anxiety ball.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. It's like so when you ask the question just about stepping stones, it's almost like I want to limit the amount of stepping stones I want. And I just want to pick long-term goals because, just for me, okay, for example, right out of high school, what's your dream? Well, my dream was like one day, like, what's the ideal like position for me? It's like, okay, I make over $100,000 a year. I have a company truck, a company cell phone, and I have freedom. Oh man, give me that. I'll do it the rest of my life. I never want to make another dollar. Well, now I have that. So I have to like keep in mind that like I have met every dream I've ever wanted and I'm happy. And so as I make goals, I have to say like, look, I can make this goal, but as soon as I decide I'm tired of working towards that goal, I have to reassess whether I still actually want that goal or not. And I'm okay with dropping stuff.
Yeah.
There's no point in going out and working for yourself if you're doing stuff you don't want to do. So that's my constant battle is like, I'll see someone else doing something great. He made like 300,000 more than me last year. It's like, okay, I want to do that. And then I start doing the process to get to that. I'm like, no, I'm pretty happy. It's just everyone has different goals.
You know what? That's interesting too, because like, that's such a great point. Cause it's like, people, for example, my stuff, it's like, hey, how come you don't grow crew club? How come you don't bring in more people? You have, 15 to 20 people at your event. Like, I don't want to chase that. I don't want to chase the growth, the numbers. Don't get me wrong. I want it to grow in a natural, organic way, but I don't want to do this just because someone else is doing that. That's not, I don't think that's a good, I think, so for me, it's not a question of success and, growing to this grand scheme thing. For me, it's enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, and making sure it's kind of like what you said, it aligns with what you want. It aligns with your goals versus doing this because we're in this hustle culture. We got to compare ourselves to everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like
out of the park.
Most of the people I've met, there's a lot of individual entrepreneurs in Oklahoma as well. Like I've got a couple of buddies that do the exact same thing I do that live here in this state, and then same thing in Texas and New Mexico and everywhere else. But, you have to, and they've mentioned it too, is why did you leave your job? Or why are you being an entrepreneur in the very beginning? Why did you want to do it? And I mean, the whole point, most people just want to be doing their own thing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even really come down to growth or scale or money. And those are just later things. And I think your goals change over time. Initially I was thinking, well, shoot, I just want to make payroll. That's all I care about, and then I went way over making payroll, and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I want to grow this company, but do I want to grow it where I'm more busy, or do I want to support people and hire employees, or do I want to open a yard and have overhead? And it's just a lot to it.
That is a lot. So let me ask you a question. Whenever you are kind of like, let's say when you are at these crossroads, how do you, I guess, determine your best, Cody or Scissor Tail's best avenue forward for that moment? Like, is it the potential return? Is it potential growth? Is it peace of mind on your side, which is very valuable as someone that owns their own business? What's the deciding factor for you?
Well, I haven't had one. I've been asking myself that same question for the past. So I've started this business 3 years ago. It's about the last year and a half. It's, it did really well. And so I'm like, oh, I did exactly what I planned to do. And it actually did better than I had planned for it to do. And so, it's like, I'm just waiting for there to be essentially enough capital to where it's ridiculous I'm not doing something with it and making a decision. Until then, I'm not going to stress myself out. I like the day-to-day of going out, traveling, meeting new people, going on adventures, getting lost, finding well sites, making deals. And I just want to keep doing that and save money until I can afford a big purchase, maybe it'd be a yard and equipment all at once. But until the money's there, I try to just not even think about those decisions yet.
How do you handle, I guess, uh, I mean, first off, are you stressed? It doesn't sound like you, I mean, having your own company. I mean, how are you doing, by the way? How are you? Let's do a wellness check. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Man, JP, honestly, my stress level work related is maybe like a 1.
How?
I just try
Well,
to
first
keep
off, it's not a
it.
bad thing. I mean, I'm saying hats off to you, but how do you keep it at a 1?
Just keep it simple. It's at the end of the day, my business is pretty simple. I tell everybody, anybody could do it. Anybody can go learn, use pipe, learn, some construction applications, go meet the people I know, and then just connect the dots and everybody wins. It's just a matter of making things. I think it was the 4-Hour Work Week I read.
Yeah.
It's a handful of books, but making things as simple as humanly possible. And I know that I read something on Twitter, I think it was, that Colin put with Digital Wildcatters about how he doesn't deal with, like, I think it's something crazy, like, he only does like 10% of his email now or something.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get my life to that point to where I get bored, but money's still coming in with the business. And that's a good problem, because then I can create other businesses.
Dude, 100%. So I think we're kind of in the same boat. We want to get to a point, and like where it's like there are a lot of emails. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of little details to kind of like that we've been doing the past 2.5 years or 2 years or however long it's been. And I think I would love to kind of hand it off. I would love to kind of bring people on to where I can delegate this stuff, where I literally just have to show up, connect people, and kind of connect people that should be connected, whether it's through knowledge, whether it's through potential job opportunities or deals or whatever that looks like. But I don't honestly, when it comes to like all the paperwork and all the, it's tough to keep on enjoying that, because it's a lot. It's a lot. You miss one email, that's one thing out of 1,000 things you got to do that day. And I feel bad when that happens.
Yeah, I'd like to meet somebody, and maybe you can help me with the net, because you're the network guy, right? If there was somebody that, an entrepreneur out there that doesn't have a partner, but is to that second or third step where they've got 2 or 3 employees, maybe have a facility, or like does a service like you, and they have different regions with employees that handle different regions. I'd like to talk to someone like that to see what their step was to get there. Because my biggest thing is, I've looked at buying a dually and a long trailer and doing a hot shot company. Well, guess what? In the beginning, who's going to drive that? I have to. So if I'm running that, I can't run my pipe business. And it's like, okay, well, I want to grow the pipe business. So if I do that, I can't do the jobs I currently have. So just physically being places. And like, I guess my question for that entrepreneur would be, what did you do to prove to yourself that you could afford to hire someone to do that job, like in the beginning?
Dude, that to me,
still run your current.
My wife talks about that all the time. She's always like, when are you going to bring someone on to kind of start, once exec crew happens or once connection crew happens, you bring someone to lead the meetings. For me, it's like, yeah, I'd like to, but at the same time, I want to be there. I want that's my baby. I want to see the networks happen. I want to see the magic happen. I want to be there because I think it's important for me to be there. But you're right. How do you scale up with a certain amount of time, with a certain amount of responsibilities that you have to do as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's tough.
So what are some lessons that's the thing. Okay, what are some lessons that could help entrepreneurs out there? So, for example, I was thinking the other day on the flight. I thought, does your brain have the fever? I think, there's so many good ideas out there. I did a podcast about there's so many good ideas out there. So many good concepts out there that never really come to fruition. They don't really, because they don't have the communication. So for me, I found the biggest benefit for me was the constant communication, repetition, and the constant regurgitation of what crew club is, what exec crew is, what kids crew is. Because I think it's like, it doesn't matter how good of a product you have. If you're not repeating your story, if you're not telling the benefits, you're not exposing the feeling of your product or service, then it's probably you're not going to have as big of a splash as you possibly could. So my lesson out there to other entrepreneurs would be, make sure your product has the fever. That's feeling. Make sure you're communicating the feeling, the feeling. I just thought about the exposure, the value of it. You got to repeat this message as well. So it's there's another E in there, but whatever. But for me, it was like constantly repeat your message over and over.
Yeah, relevance. Yeah, I mean, it's critical, man. Like if somebody doesn't know who you are, it doesn't matter if they don't like you. Like if they don't know who you are, they're never going to do business with you. If they never even heard of your name or met you or anything. So yeah, you got to get out there.
So I think marketing is extremely important, but also it's not like it's not saying the same message the same way. It's saying the same message 5 different ways, so those 5 different people with 5 different lenses can connect to you.
Yeah, yeah, and getting creative with it too. That's another one. I've got a tip for those new ones out there. So what I would say, like, so to start a business, you have to have sales and you have to have the business, right?
Okay. Walk me
Does that
through
make
it.
sense? Like,
Yeah, well, hey, let's do a little class right now. Walk me through it. Yeah.
okay. All right. So if you're going to go start your own business, I tell this to everybody. If you're a really good salesman, pay a CPA to set up your tax resale permit, to set up your articles of organization, to set up your everything related to your LLC, your tax commission accounts, like set all that stuff up for you. Because then all you have to worry about is sales. And then vice versa. If you're really good at the business stuff, don't pay and settle that up yourself until you go out and make a sale, and then go figure, and then go do all stuff for the business guy. So do both parts. You have to have business.
You know what? That's interesting. I also read something. So it's like, hey, look, if you're really strong at something and you know your weakness, don't try to strengthen that weakness. Like that's your weakness. You should have someone, for example, for me, let's say it's taxes or CP, whatever, all that stuff.
Yep.
I don't need to spend 3 days a week learning about this. I know that's my weakness. So if I have someone I can trust, delegate. So know your strengths and actually work those muscles. So if you have really good biceps, keep doing curls. Skip leg day if that's your weakness. So pretty much like it was a lesson where it was like, don't try to focus on strengthening your weaknesses. Focus on strengthening your strength and hire other people to meet the weaknesses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense too, because it also goes along with that concept of like the value of your time. And if you're going to make $100, $200, $300 an hour going out making sales, then you probably shouldn't be doing your own payroll paperwork. You should be going and doing that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So just pick the things that you're wasting your time on that don't make money and pay someone else to do that stuff.
Do you find it more stressful, or obviously your stress is at a 1? Do you would you have done this?
I would say it's high sometimes, but yeah.
There you go. Would you tell yourself that you would have done this earlier if 2020 didn't happen, or would you have like, for example, like without 2020, would you have the entrepreneurial spirit?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if I would have started this business when I had started this business. But I think that eventually I would have started something because I got the taste. I was one of those few people that got lucky to get a taste of it with my dad, that kind of 50-50 partner entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So getting that taste made me want to get back in the waters. I just wasn't totally sure what I wanted to do until the crash came.
I think for me, then I think an interesting mindset was for me. I think it was like a year and a half into my journey. And that's what it is, man. It's a journey because, man, for me, I base my business on quarters. How do you do yours? Mine's figuring out like the quarter. I'm going to survive the quarter.
Yeah, I hate Q4.
Oh my God, dude. Well, what about summer? Summers are brutal too, man. I deal with people. I can't get anyone out in the summers, but no, for me, it was like, I remember sitting there. We had an event in Austin. And after that, my family and I had my daughter and my wife, and we all went to this place in Spicewood. It was Airbnb. I'm like, yeah, I'll work here for a couple of days. It was such having that mental hurdle to be like, hey, you can do this. You can do this. And you don't have to like report in anyone or it's all that stuff. That to me, having that entrepreneurial feeling like, hey, you really are your own boss, JP. Like you can do this. Like that was such a cool, surreal feeling that I had. You know what I mean? Have you had those like aha feelings before? Those like, oh shit, I'm really doing this, Cody. Have you had those feelings before?
Mine are signing up for ridiculous like marketing events, like whether it's shooting guns or golf or barbecues or whatever. I had past employers that would never give me a budget for that stuff. So now when that stuff comes up, I'm like, where's my checkbook? Like, how many checks can I write for this thing? So
dude, that's so awesome.
I love being able to go do stuff now.
Now let me ask you a question. When you see this, whenever you do go to that and you see this logo there.
Yeah.
First off, did you design this?
No, there's a Desert design company out of Midland, I think.
Okay.
They make those hats.
Okay. No, the logo and all that.
Oh, you mean the logo itself? No, I went on Fever for like $5 and had someone.
Dude, I love it. It looks good. But whenever you see your logo, like on one of these like industry shooting like the sporting clays or the golf tournaments, how does that feel for you?
It's pretty cool, man.
It's a cool feeling.
There's a lot more than mine, but it's pretty cool.
Well, that's just because I just posted all over social media. But it's a cool feeling, isn't it? I feel like it's a very doom and gloom mindset as an entrepreneur. It's like, I got to survive this. And if I don't, I'm going to lose my house. My family's going to walk away. I'll lose my friends and all stuff. But in reality, I've found it better for me, for my mental health, for my mental states, to say, hey, look, it's not doom and gloom. If this ends up, not working out, shit in the bed or whatever like that, you'll be okay. I'll find something else. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that realization, that was a conversation my wife and I had, because I get in times where I get extremely stressed out about this, and I wake up and I want to pursue things. I want to think about things, and it's a challenge staying grounded, I think.
Do you think that starting your business and running it up till to now was harder or easier than you would have thought?
Harder.
Really?
Yes, harder.
Harder.
The reason why it's harder, I love this. Let's just have a conversation. I love this. So I found it harder. This is why. The concept of what when I started and I did the social media stuff, and then how about this? When Crew Club started, okay, it was such a concept that it was such an interesting sell, because it's a lot of like, hey, I like that idea, JP, but I'm gonna wait to see how this evolves. I like this, but we're not in. There's other stuff going on. So it was kind of introducing a newish concept, I felt like. And this is my perspective. There might be people out there listening to me like, JP, you're an idiot. Like, it's not remarkable. Whatever, fine. This is my perception. So deal with it. My podcast. Irrelevant, yeah. But for me, selling the concept, hey, we're doing an operator-producer focused networking events. We're not allowing everyone in. This is a small group and all that stuff. You got to pay for a sponsorship and all that stuff. Oh, by the way, there's no sales pitches. And selling that or describing that, it's not even selling. Like, I wasn't even selling anything, but describing that not only to the crew members, the service tech providers and all that stuff, mm-hmm. but also to the operators, that was extremely challenging. It's like, JP, what?
It's new.
It's new. And it was extremely. So for me, I mean, when I talk about the fever, I would constantly regurgitate the product. There's times I'd call people and they're like, okay, wait, who's this again? I'm like, it's JP with Connection Crew or Crew Club, whatever. They're like, okay. And what are you selling? I'm like, dude, I'm not selling. I'm selling for you to meet people. That's it. You got to get it. So I found it extremely challenging. To sell this new idea that's not really a new idea. But I mean, just looking back, I remember you talking, you just mentioned, you said something so great before. You're like, yeah, I've lived all my dreams and all that stuff. I remember sitting here in 2021 thinking, dude, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool if I can go to dinner and earn a living off of going to dinner again. And here I am doing it. It's like, now it's like, okay, well, dinners are getting kind of tiring and I don't need that much steak. But anyway, I think finally now, and I think I'm at the point now with this stuff where, number one, I feel like I do have the confidence, and I think confidence is I think the whole faking it till you making it thing, and give me, obviously, I'd like your insight on this. I think the whole faking it till you make it thing is true. You have to fake it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the faking, but like just do it. Like, just do stuff you don't want to do all the time.
Okay, I agree with that. Maybe fake is the wrong word. How about this? How about being your own cheerleader, or being a believing in yourself when you're really not sure if you should.
Yeah,
you have to overbelieve in yourself. I feel like right now I'm at that stage where, like, okay, well, there's a lot of cool stuff in the future. You got Exec Crew, first meeting tomorrow. I'm pretty pumped about that. Connection Crew, and now I'm gonna do phase. So now I feel like I'm in this now I feel like I went from a survival phase, and I think every company has this in entrepreneurial. It was like survival phase.
Yeah.
Now the baby's walking, the baby gates are off. Now it's like at this creative phase where it's like, what else can I do? And hopefully, obviously there's some financial benefit to it, but what else can I do?
Right. Yeah. And sprinkle stuff in. And like, that's kind of been thinking the same thing as sprinkling in services. But I think as you're describing it like that, you're coming out of the infancy phase of your business and starting to level off where you have security, like regular, revenue coming in, et cetera. Like, I think that's still going to have ups and downs.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to tread lightly. Like when you start sprinkling in more customers or more services or something else over here, just sprinkle lightly. I mean, I'm going to figure it out as I go. I can't help that much because I haven't done it much, but
but that's the thing. I mean, you just got to figure it out and lean on your support group. I remember the conversation I had with you when we chatted on the phone. It was such a cool conversation about like just life on the road, life trying to figure it out, man. And it seems like you kind of got it figured out. Your confidence is you know what you're doing now, man.
Yeah, it's the biggest hurdle on that confidence part, it was just figuring out that it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to go out there and start a business and provide a service or a product, right? You may initially think like, I want people to like my service or product, but that's not even something you should have to think about. And when someone wants to use or look at your service or product, they want to enjoy it too. They don't want to think about whether they like you as a person. So all you need to do is just get out there and show people your product or service, and business will grow from there. As long as you're, again, just honest and kind. That's all you have to do. Just be honest, fair, and kind. And like, as long as you just show the product and you have a good product and a good service and you're consistent and you're just kind and humble and honest, I mean, it kind of runs itself.
How do you handle haters? How do you handle haters having Cody?
I kind of like him.
I see Cody seeing what he wants. I see Cody living the American dream, doing what he wants to do with that scissor tail pipe. Oh, we don't need that guy. How do you handle the haters?
Yeah, I appreciate it, to be honest. I mean, I've had past employees and stuff, and I mean, I'm not going to like name names. I actually like it. It's just,
don't name names.
It's one of those things where, again, like, you got to be relevant, and even if people don't like you or if they hate on you, it's still more people hearing your name, right? And I've heard, when people tell me bad things about people, I don't think bad things of those people because I have my own opinion. So I'm not going to worry about other people's opinions of me and what they tell other people. So, I mean, it's just, haters are going to hate, right?
Well, let me ask you a question. Did you have to learn that mindset?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, first off, you and I can't sit here like, oh yeah, we don't need the haters. It took me a little bit to get this mindset of what you're talking about. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's this thing about being a little guy. So, like my career path, just to say it's all pipe. I mean, it's not. Let's just say it all. Like, all, start with a small company and go a little bigger, a little bigger. And the next thing you know, I'm at like the second largest mill in the world. And then I leave and go to little old Cody in Oklahoma in the middle of nowhere. Well, Oklahoma City, but you know what I mean, compared to the world that I was dealing with France and dealing with.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
So now you're the little guy, right? And so it's harder to get into meetings, and it's harder to get lunches, and it's harder to get coffees and golf people on your team. And you may get your feelings hurt, and you may think people don't like you, and you may think your business isn't as cool, and you're not as cool as you thought you were, and all these things.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, like I dealt with that, sure. But like, what's the best thing and the worst thing I can do for that? Like, the worst thing I can do is sit in here, because sitting here doesn't make me any money at all. I only sit in here for paperwork and podcasts, right? What I need to do is get out and go meet some people, smile, and make some deals, right? And quit worrying about it. So I don't know. That's just my attitude, man.
No, I dig it. No, I mean, for me, like, obviously being in sales, you want everyone to like you. You want to walk into an office, whether you're doing a breakfast run or a meeting or pitching something, or it's a new lunch. There's a new person there, an engineer. You want people to like you, like you do. I hate being that way. It might sound, but like as a salesperson, you want people to like you.
Sure, it's natural.
And starting this company was interesting. You think, I've also noticed too. It's like whoever you think that your support group is, like whoever you think it is before you launch your journey, that's not who it completely changes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like who you think would support you and want you to succeed and be your cheerleader, they're not. Yeah. That was a weird thing that I had to learn. But no, it was kind of like, for me, like whenever it comes to, haters, whatever, we'll just use the word haters. Whenever it comes to like that really did bother me. Like it really messed with me, starting this thing. I used to have to justify and defend myself or the value of networks. And dude, after a while, I think it's one of those things, as you said, if you got a good product, good service that you believe in, and and you have confidence in that helps kind of turn down the hater's voice. You know what I mean? And also, no one thinks about you as much as you think the people are thinking about you. So get that out of your head right there. But no, I think, it's not that I like it, because it's like, it's kind of sucks because all I'm trying to do is bring people together and connect people and try to help people out. But at the same time, it's one of those things, whenever this does happen, like it doesn't really affect me as much anymore. And that was a huge hurdle I personally got through.
That's good. That's awesome. Yeah. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's just your job. It's not you. Right.
Yeah. So, I'm just trying to survive, man.
Like I go out and work all day and meet different people that do or do not like me, but and most do. But at the end of the day, like what am I doing on the weekends? I'm still playing poker with the same guys from high school that aren't in oil and gas at all. I'm still going camping with guys from college. Like I don't even, sometimes on the weekends I won't talk to a single person in oil and gas. And that's like personal life, right? Like, so being worried during your work week about what people think of you and if they like you, like all related to work, just throw it out the window. You're wasting your time.
How do you feel, I guess, as a business owner, when it comes to kind of like taking new things on or learning new things? Where do you source your knowledge, your information, your support, your guidance, your insight? Like, where is it? Books? Is it podcasts? Is it seminars? Is it support groups? Or is it your network? What is it?
Almost all podcasts now.
Besides Energy Crew podcast. Keep going.
Yeah. No, I listen to all of them. Like a lot of the guys are like us on LinkedIn. If you go to, just, geez, man, I can name off probably at least a dozen. Like I follow all of them. And then, and it's great because especially if you start getting into analyst type stuff. So like Petro Nerds, I think is what's called podcast.
Yeah.
You start hearing total different vocabulary than good old Cody with his general business degree from Oklahoma. And you start hearing, and it just helps me with it, with, verbalizing my thoughts better in regards to the market and steel prices and commodities. And so I digest pretty much everything on podcasts. I mean, I spend at least 30 to 40 hours in the truck a week. So this is the best way to constantly learn.
Okay, so that's so you get so you kind of turn your circumstance being stuck behind the wheel into a kind of a learning opportunity, a little mini classroom.
Yeah. And then most of my deals are done like when I'm working on deals, whether it's on a buy or on a sale. I've got my notepad right here in my truck. I've got my laptop right there in my truck. I got a printer in the back seat for my checks. I got my phone right here and my GPS right here, and I'm going to pipe yards or going to rigs.
You have to send me a picture of that office setup. That sounds pretty legit. So let me ask you a question. For people out there kind of tuning in that maybe don't know who you are and all that stuff, who would contact you about what you do? Like who are your your customers?
Yeah. So I mean, it's real simple. I buy used tubing and casing. And used tubing casing comes from plugged wells or worked over wells.
Okay.
So just like everybody that sells new pipe is chasing the drilling rigs, I chase the workover rigs.
Okay.
So if you're an oil and gas company and you're working over a well or plugging a well, you have to at some point get rid of that used tubing or reuse it. I'm the guy that comes in and offers to buy it.
Do you work with like those P&A organizations and all that stuff? Is that a little honey hole for you?
No, I don't deal directly with them. Typically those plugging companies will make an offer directly to the oil company to do the work and get the pipe that comes out.
Okay.
And then they take that pipe and resell it to me for a profit. And so what I do is I work directly with the operator and make offers on the pipe once the plugging company's pulled it out.
Got you. Okay. All right. So, and how can people contact you? Where can people find you? Obviously on LinkedIn.
My email is Cody, Cody at scissortailpipe.com, like the state bird. My cell phone number, I'm happy to give it out. It's 405-802-6294. I know I've done it before, but guess what? I get sales from it. So that's
Love it. I dig it. So, entrepreneurial. So talk to me. Let's have more of a bit. So what are the I guess key things that that you're excited about coming up to the it's the holiday season coming up, right? Always stressful. Q4 is always fun. What do you look how are you planning for, I guess, the Q4? Are you thinking of new things to tackle? Are you dreaming big? You've budgeted this? Or what are you doing in this Q4 season before the holidays as an entrepreneur?
So right now, the steel market, it's significantly dropped. It's a buyer's market for sure. It's significantly dropped. And I expect it to stay a buyer's market Q4 and probably through mid Q1 at least.
Okay.
But prices are low. And, when I say it's a buyer's market, it's like a buyer that uses the material, not a seller, not like a wholesaler like me. But I'm actually kind of doing the opposite of what everyone's doing. I'm taking all my excess capital and investing it in inventory right now.
Okay.
I set aside some other projects that I can't talk too much about, but they help. They're helping keep payroll going to where I don't have to use excess funds. And so I've timed the market to where I think it'll hold a potential dip, and then it's going to climb eventually again. I'm trying to buy inventory cheap now and hold out for it to climb again.
Man, I've heard Q1 in the steel side of things that's going to be upticking.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard though.
On the new side at least for sure.
On the what?
On the new side.
Yeah, that's kind of the word that's kind of I've been hearing.
Q1. And it all kind of depends too on what overseas, what happens with production levels, whether they decide to cut production or increase it or keep it where they're at. That'll change the P&A and workover rigs. So it's all speculative, but you got to take risks to make money. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I love that, man. So are you going to be? So let me ask you a question. What does the next step of growth look and feel like for you?
I don't know. I have a feeling you're going to ask that. I have two options. I either want to start a complementary business, such as like a hot shot company.
Okay.
But I don't want to drive it every day. So
right.
That's a hurdle. It's a hurdle I'd have to overcome, but just have to test the market and find customers and figure out if it's,
right.
worth it. And then the second thing I really want to do is I'd like to open a yard and have storage and a little bit of reclamation. I don't want to compete with the downhole yards. I primarily want to do like bandsaw and beveling type work and maybe a little bit of fab work. I'm not technical enough, nor do I want to learn all that stuff, but I'll just hire guys to do that stuff. I'm very interested in learning about it. I just won't be able to find the pipe if I'm doing it myself. But
so so right now is Scissor Tail, is it just you?
It's just me.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. I think whenever the first hire comes on, that's gonna be an exciting day for you and me, buddy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've tried to hire some guys already, but for some reason my buddies don't want to join.
You don't really want to hire your buddies.
I don't think I want to either.
You don't want to hire your buddies. No, I think it's gonna be an exciting time. I think I love talking to you because you have that. First off, you have such a great demeanor when it comes to owning a company and figuring things out. And a lot of the stuff you go through, I think a lot of people, and myself included, relate to, when it comes to being your own boss, when it comes to figuring stuff out, trying to make payroll, being behind the wheel for, 40 hours a week. I think it's stuff that I love watching. I love seeing. If you had a magic wand, or if you could spend another 2 hours of your day somewhere, where would that wand go to? And where would the time be spent? Go.
Business or pleasure?
Bro, you're your own boss. You tell me.
Oh, 2 hours a day of just anything.
Oh, you got an extra 2 hours.
Oh man, 2 hours a day. Can I pick winter and summer? How about that?
Yeah, man. This is your question, bro.
Okay. If it's summer and I got an extra 2 hours to kill, I am at the lake wakeboarding.
Okay. I dig that.
With a bunch of buddies. Yeah.
That's your thing. Okay.
Yeah. And then if it's the winter and I got an extra 2 hours to kill, I'm probably bowling. I want to get back in. I've never been into bowling, but I want to get into it and start competing. There's these guys in Houston that are really into pipe, and they have all these tournaments. And so I want to get into it this winter. And it's I'm so obsessed with physically doing sports all the time. I love that.
In
the winter. So I want to see if I get good at bowling this winter.
I love how you started. You're like, yeah, I really want to get back into bowling. I've never really gotten into it, but I want to get back into it. I love that. All right, magic wand me. What's going to be happening to Scissor Tail Pipe with a magic wand?
If I were to guess, I think that in 5 years, from now, I'll have a yard and probably at least 4 employees, and I'll have another business that I'll be spending most of my time on.
And you'll just be delegating and showing up. Delegating
that one, and then building the next one until that one's ready to delegate and just keep going.
Dude, I would love to get to a certain point where it's like, first off, have the confidence and trust, maybe. Because, dude, as an entrepreneur, like you're doing everything. You're handling this. You got this. You're doing everything yourself, and to relinquish that and to bring someone on and to delegate, hey, you handle this now. That's a weird feeling. Like, I don't know how, like, it's a weird feeling to do after 2 years of like growing this little baby.
Well, you're growing your family. So like I say, it's just the family, the business is your family, and it's you. And as you hire employees, you're growing your family and growing your business. So just think of it differently.
I think that's gonna be an exciting time. So what other words of wisdom do you have to wrap this up, or kind of predictions, outlook, insights, excitement, whatever you got for us? What is Cody looking forward to?
I'd say, let's see, I'll rattle off a few things. On the entrepreneur side, if you're thinking about going out on your own, it's not as hard as you think it is. If you can sell something and you can make a profit, you can start a business. If you don't know everything else, you can call me and I'll tell you how to do it. And then on the market side, I would say if you have used pipe you need to sell right now, the pricing is not going to be as strong as it was 6 months ago. It just is what it is. So if your dealers are giving you low prices, it's just what it is. If you want to ask me for comparative pricing, I'll give you an offer. That's that. And then going into next year, hopefully that rig price or that rig count and that price stays about the same. I really don't want to see the oil price go up too much more, but
I don't either.
Yeah, that's my fingers crossed.
I don't either, man. Hey, Cody, it's always good chatting with you, buddy. And this hat,
fire away.
I love this thing. I love this. Hey, I don't keep many hats, buddy. I got this one, and you from Umbro. That's it. I got this one. I got Mike Umbro's one. But dude, I love watching what you're doing. I want to stay in touch. I want to see you continue to grow, continue to build what you want to build, man. And obviously, if there's anything we can do it, any of the crews or energy crew and all that fun stuff, just let us know. But dude, keep doing what you're doing, man. I always appreciate it, and love the outlook, love the insight, and we'll be in touch, man.
All right. Sounds good, JP. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And everyone out there, thank you for tuning into Energy Crew Podcast. And let's take it away. Let's take it away again.